Hello, it's us again, over here on side 2 for you. We've got a little problem this week, and the problem that we have is we don't have very much to read. So we're going to read all of the items that we have, which means we're going to inundate you with sport, which we don't normally do, and then we'll have to stop, but we're going to read everything we have, even stuff in our pockets that we've snatched in. So over to Caroline for the first of very few items.
Edmonton Skyline gained an eye-catching new landmark last week with the official opening of a development providing 118 new homes. The distinctive wedge-shaped 8-storey building facing onto 4th Street is a major housing regeneration scheme, rising like a phoenix from the ashes of the now demolished former council-owned Highmead estate. Prowse Court is a mix of private and affordable social housing, comprising 22 terraced houses at the back of the block, with 25 flats for intermediate rent and 71 flats for private sale, as well as a purpose-built medical clinic, a community hall and commercial spaces for businesses. The development, built by Countryside Properties and New Lawn Housing Trust in conjunction with Enfield Council, is aimed at kick-starting wider investment and regeneration in Angel Edmonton. Among those attending the official opening ceremony were the family of the late Cathy Prowse, who served as an Enfield councillor for 24 years and in whose memory the building is named. A new access road to the terraced homes called Lord Graham Mews honours Labour peer and former MP Lord Graham of Edmonton. Ahmet Oykina, the council's cabinet member for housing and estate regeneration, performed the opening ceremony and met some of the first families to move into the affordable family housing. He said this is a superbly designed development which will be a catalyst for the regeneration of this part of Edmonton. The partnership between Countryside, New Lawn and the council has been a positive approach to build more homes and important amenities in this neighbourhood. Sarah Abanja, chairman of New Lawn Housing Trust, said, "I am really excited that through working in partnership with the council and Countryside, we have been able to deliver such an attractive new development with so many additional community facilities. I'm confident that it will be a great place to live and will contribute hugely to the ongoing regeneration of the area."
And talking of places to live, every woman needs a shed is not a mantra that adorns many greetings cards, but for one keen gardener, it is a motto she swears by. Under the battery-powered chandelier in her palatial shed on her corner plot in the Palmer's Green allotments and perched on a cosy daybed, author Jean Willis reveals what drew her to the haven. Beds of dahlias with flamboyant artichoke heads bobbing on their long stalks just behind them. You can be here all day, so no one knows where you are, she explains, describing her sense of sanctuary in the midst of the fruit and veg. At home, there's always something you've got to be doing, like hoovering, which isn't exactly fun. But here I can just pretend I'm busy, or I can be busy, and that's the beauty of it. The 55-year-old explains that often while watering and weeding, inspiration for her next book can drop into her mind. When you're not thinking about specific things and you're gardening, ideas just seem to come, she says. And the secret to her success? A shed, is the firm reply. If you have a shed, you can have a teapot, a drinks cabinet, everything you want, she says. It's like a confessional in this shed. You should be amazed at the things I hear in here, she adds, laughing. While Jean battled illness 6 years ago, friends encouraged her to put her name down for an allotment as something to look forward to. But taking over an abandoned plot that had been used as a rubbish dump for all manner of allotment debris for years threatened to overwhelm her. It was like an enchanted forest when I first saw it, with brambles about 3 foot tall, she recalls. I just looked at it and thought, I am never going to clear that. And the minute we dug it up, Suddenly the weeds emerged and took over. But just as I was beginning to despair, a really nice man with a digger drove up, and although he wasn't really supposed to, he just drove his digger over and razed the lot to the ground. I think it would have defeated me if it hadn't been for my knight in shining dump truck. Although her tomatoes were flourishing quietly, and she was able to harvest a bumper crop of broad beans a few weeks ago, there is more to Jean's produce than simply growing to eat. It's like being a child, she says, of the feeling of wonder when harvesting crops or planting out seedlings. You're digging for potatoes and you don't know what you're going to get, and you get more and more excited. Once my mum and sister were both here. My mum looked at me and my sister digging away in the mud, and she said, "You remind me of land girls during the war. It was like a sisterhood thing." There are so many things about this place that make it more than a garden or an allotment. Jean's mother is no longer alive, but she lives on in the flower garden planted in her memory behind the shed. "I'm not religious, but it really is quite spiritual here," says Jean. "Although my dad never got to see it here, I feel closer to him here as well." While the shed is Jean's suburban sanctuary, her husband and 2 grown-up children are allowed to experience the cosy tranquility. "In September we have bonfires," she says. "My family comes up, and it's such a nice experience in the dark with a glass of wine. It's lovely. It's like being cowboys." And Jean's tips for an aspiring allotment holders? Get yourself a shed, she recommends. All you need is shelter and a flask of tea. Everything else you can beg, borrow and steal. Anyone interested in signing up to allotment can find out more at http://www.enfield.gov.uk/info/2007/allotments. And I hope you're able to remember all of that.
A charity is calling on people to reach out to their elderly neighbours and friends in a bid to stave off loneliness. Age UK Enfield, based in Vincent House in Nags Head Road, Ponders End, has launched the latest bid to curb loneliness among the older people in the borough and has issued a rallying cry to people to join the charity's befriending service. There are people here in Enfield who are lonely, isolated and don't have any contact with anybody, Daniel Sanner, Customer Services and Volunteer Officer for Age UK Enfield, told the Advertiser. Maybe a carer comes in once a day to wash them and help them get dressed, but there is no one they can just sit and talk to. So one of our volunteers can go into their homes and talk to them, maybe play a game or of cards with them. But the most important thing they can do, the thing that really makes a lonely, isolated person feel better, is to be listened to and talked to. The small thing can improve people's lives enormously. According to Age UK Enfield, 49% of people over the age of 75 live alone, often with only their television for company. Alan Bassett, Outreach Services Manager for Age UK Enfield, has revealed that this level of isolation can lead to depression, self-neglect and a feeling of exclusion as a result of loneliness. Mr. Bassett is championing the work of individuals such as Amy Bridgman, who volunteers to help people, including 103-year-old Irene Osborne, and she feels connected with the community. The service brings a friendly listening ear and much-needed companionship, he added. Anyone interested in spending 1 or 2 hours weekly or fortnightly with a lonely older person, please contact Mr. Bassett on 0208 375 4120 or email customerservices@ageukenfield.org.s.
A new £792,000 wetlands project and cycle path in Furze Farm playing fields in Palmer's Green is set to take shape. Supporters say the wetlands will help prevent flooding, reduce pollution and encourage wildlife. Construction work is due to begin shortly. A new cycle path will, it is hoped, both encourage cycling and make it easier to reach Firs Farm in Firs Lane by bike. The Wetlands project, which is being funded by Enfield Council, Thames Water, the Environment Agency and the Greater London Authority, will see the creation of a major new habitat capable of storing up to 30,000 cubic metres of floodwater. Daniel Anderson, the Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, said, "The environmental benefits of this project are significant. Not only will these beautiful wetlands provide protection against flooding in the local area, but as the water quality improves, we will also be creating a space which the community can enjoy, while wildlife will flourish." Mr. Anderson is hoping that the project will reduce the risk of flooding to more than 100 nearby homes and parts of the A10 Great Cambridge Road. New native plants will also be added. The project has been the subject of a public consultation exercise and has the backing of the Friends of Firs Farm. Funding of £175,000 was secured through the Mayor of London's Big Green Fund. Of 7 projects that were shortlisted, Firs Farm received the most votes and was one of only 2 sites to receive the maximum grant. Caroline.
Now for some news on the rugby union. Saracens have signed hooker Dave Petchey on a short-term deal to provide cover for the World Cup. With Jamie George and Shawk Brits in contention to feature in the World Cup for England and South Africa respectively, Sarries could potentially be short in the position at the start of the season, and the Premiership champions have brought in the 22-year-old Australian to help fill that void. "It's a great opportunity and one I'm looking forward to making the most of," Petchey said. "I'm working as hard as I can every day to get as much as I can out of this experience." Director of Rugby, Mark McCall, added, "Alongside Scott Sperling and Jared Saunders, Dave will provide us with more options." And in athletics, Enfield and Haringey Athletic Club narrowly missed out on securing promotion from the Southern Premier Division 2 of the lower age of the United Kingdom Youth Development League after finishing 3rd in the final meeting of the season at the Thames Valley Athletics Centre. The club went into the match lying 2nd in the table, level on points with both Windsor, Slough, Eton and Hounslow and Crawley, but it was Windsor who just pipped them to the promotion spot after narrowly claiming 2nd place on the day. Despite the disappointing final outcome, there were still numerous fine performances from Enfield and Haringey athletes, with Alex Truscott winning the boys under 15 A-string 100 metres in 11.4 seconds.
And moving on to football, Enfield Town launched their pre-season campaign by securing a 2-1 win at home to AFC Rushden and Diamonds. Town included a number of new faces as they fielded virtually entirely different teams for the 2 halves of the match, taking the lead in the first half through a Corey Whiteley penalty following a foul on former Wealdstone winger Samir Boumotine. Although the hosts dominated the second half, they were pegged back through Tom Lorraine on 87 minutes, only to seal victory soon after as Ralston Gabriel got the decisive final touch to Aryan Takbashi and his goal-bound flick. The boys enjoyed it, manager Bradley Quinton said. They are probably only 60 to 70% fit at the moment, but that is what these games are about. The results don't matter. Town continued their pre-season programme by hosting championship outfit Brighton and Hove Albion before a high-profile clash at home to a Crystal Palace 11 on Tuesday at 7:45 p.m. Crystal Palace and Brighton are great games to have, the manager said. It's good to have some pre-season games like these. Palace will have a strong team out, whoever is playing, and all the lads are really looking forward to it. Meanwhile, Enfield Town will begin their Ryman Premier Division campaign with a home clash against Tunbridge Angels on August the 8th. The fixtures for next season were released late last week, and Town, following their opening clash with successive away matches as they visit Hendon, who only narrowly missed out on the league title last time around on August 10th, before going to Billericay Town on August the 15th. Home clashes against Burgess Hill Town and Leiston follow on August the 22nd and August the 25th respectively, while the first month of the season is rounded off by a trip to Canvey Island on August the 29th and a home bank holiday match against East Thurrock United on August the 31st. Boxing Day sees the return game at East Thurrock, while Town begin 2016 at home to Brentford Town on January the 2nd. Town will go to Brentwood on Easter Monday, March the 28th, and their final home game is against Needham Market on April the 16th, before they round off their season at Hampton and Richmond Borough 7 days later. It's nice to have a home game to start off with, and hopefully we will get a good crowd, Quinton added. It's also good to be playing Hendon and Billericay at that time of year, because their pitches should be in good condition then. But you have to play everyone twice, and it doesn't really matter how the fixtures come out. We'll just approach each game as it comes. See www.enfield-today.co.uk for Enfield Town's full Ryman Premier Division fixture list.
Is the local cricket news. Southgate came agonisingly close to securing victory before eventually having to settle for a winning draw from their trip to Stanmore in the Premier Division of the Middlesex County Cricket League. Despite an excellent batting surface, both sides struggled for runs, with Southgate batting to 187 for 9 in the maximum 66 overs. Skipper Faisal Mir top scored with 48, while there were also good contributions from Tom Edrich at 38 and A. Sahota 35. Chimika Kurandante at 3 for 40 was the most successful bowler. Southgate then ripped through the hosts' top order to leave them reeling at 57 for 6 as they seemingly closed in on victory, with Ashley Severinja 4 for 67 doing much of the damage. Kush Patel, 54, and Kurunante, 55 not out, got Stanmore back on track with a partnership of 55 for the 7th wicket, but the visitors continued to plug away with the ball once this stand had been broken, and the 9th wicket fell with the best part of 8 overs remaining. However, Southgate were unable to make the decisive breakthrough in the closing stages as Karunanthe and the last man, Suhil Vora, held firm to guide Stanmore to safety at 155 for 9. I thought we did unbelievably well, said Mir. To restrict Stanmore to 155 off 60 overs was excellent, and I don't think they were ever going to be on top. It was just bitterly disappointing we couldn't get that last wicket. We should have got a run out with about 2 overs to go. And we had a massive appeal with 2 balls remaining, which were honestly all thought was everybody was out. Meanwhile, Enfield produced an impressive display to claim a 30-run win at home to high-flying Shepherd's Bush in Division 2. Les Edwards at 61, Jack Plum 50 led the way as the host amassed 192 batting first, with Tom Felton 4 for 45 and James Kidson 4 for 51 bowling well for the Bush. Freddie John made a fine 60 when the visitors replied, but it was not enough as they were dismissed for 162, with Ryan Cunningham 4 for 34 starring with the ball for Enfield. Winchmore Hill picked up a winning draw from their home match against table-topping Highgate in Division 3. Siren Severiente began his fine day by making 5 for 62 as Highgate made 250 for 9, batting first, with Hashan Ramayanke 88 and Chris Oral 61 being the main contributors. Hill slipped to 142 for 6 in reply, but Mark Barrell 74 not out and Saviante 42 not out shared an unbroken stand of 78 for the 7th wicket to guide them for 220 for 6 and gained the 4 points.
A district judge has refused to overturn Enfield Council's decision to revoke a supermarket's alcohol licence. The licence for Azure Wine Centre in Hertford Road, Freezywater, was withdrawn after an employee sold non-duty paid cigarettes to a council officer. He was taking part in a test purchase exercise in August last year, following reports that illicit cigarettes were being sold at the premises. A week later, Famous Grouse whisky, on which UK duty had not been paid, was discovered at the shop. The council's licensing subcommittee revoked the licence at a meeting on February the 11th, and that decision was upheld last Wednesday by a district judge at Highbury Magistrates Court. Ugar Altun, the holder of the licence, was prosecuted in 2009 for selling counterfeit vodka, which contained dangerous levels of methanol. In 2012, 3 bottles of counterfeit Bollinger, 1,000 non-duty paid cigarettes, 100 grams of hand-rolling tobacco, and 54 bottles of non-duty paid spirits were discovered. Cabinet Member for Environment Daniel Anderson said, "The sale of counterfeit or illicit alcohol and tobacco is a serious offence, and we will not sit idly by and allow traders to engage in illegal activity. For as well as giving an unfair advantage over legitimate businesses, they endanger the health of our residents." The council was also granted costs of £4,928.50 by the judge. 3 more premises are currently appealing against the revocation of their alcohol licences. They are allowed to sell alcohol until a final court ruling is made.
Students have had the chance to see their artwork on display at the Saatchi Gallery. Some 300 pupils from 7 schools in the borough took part in the Jack Petchey Start programme, which is designed to open young people's eyes to the world of art. They spent the past academic year planning for the project, receiving expert guidance in how to design museum-scale pieces. They took inspiration from the current exhibition at the world-renowned gallery, Pangaea 2, New Art from Africa and Latin America. They also met artists whose work was being exhibited. The project has culminated in the creation of a series of films which represent the work the students have done over the course of the project. A public screening of these took place at the Dugdale Theatre in London Road, Enfield Town, on Saturday. The founder of the foundation, Jack Petchey, said he was proud to invest in a programme which helps young people engage with the arts. He added, "We have been delighted to hear how the programme has inspired young interest and talent. The opportunity to meet professional artists, hear how they have created their pieces, and then have the space to create their own artwork for display on the same gallery walls must be truly inspiring."
Well, we've reached the end of all we've got to read for you, a little bit earlier than usual. There's still a little bit on the tape to go. Phil has threatened to read out Enfield Town's fixture list again and again and again until we get to the end of the tape, but fortunately Ros is holding him down and he can't get near the piece. So let's say we've reached the end of the programme for this week. Thank you for listening. And from the team of Caroline, Phil, Ros and Alan and Jason on the controls, it's goodbye. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet. Put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible, in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget, you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper. And the Enfield Talking Newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time, complete with Enfield Town's fixture list.